Evan from the National Music Center, coming at you today from Studio Bell. I was recently having a conversation with Eddie, one of the security guards here at the museum. Eddie figured, since he works at a music museum, perhaps he should play a musical instrument. So he asked me, which one should he play? Without thinking too hard, I told Eddie he should learn the guitar. It's the first instrument that pops into my head when I think about someone who wants to learn music, whether they have a lot of musical background or not. But I continued to think about this question after our conversation. And the more I thought about it, the more it occurred to me, well, it really depends what kind of person you are. A lot of people would probably do better with the 19th century instrument of choice, the piano. So this week we're going to look at the guitar, and I am going to make a pitch for why this is the instrument for you. And next week we'll give the piano the same treatment. So you want to learn an instrument, guitar versus piano. So here are the materials you will want to collect. A guitar, a pick. It'd be nice if you had one of these things called a capo, but if you don't have one of these, no biggie. And lastly, you will want some kind of device. It could be a phone or it could be a computer, but you are going to use this as a tuner and a metronome / drum machine. You can buy tuners on their own. Sometimes tuners are built into the guitar, and metronomes come in all sorts of wind-up varieties. So, first of all, what's so great about the guitar? Why did this become arguably the most popular instrument of the 20th century? Well, it's pretty small, it's lightweight, easy to carry around anywhere. It's a great melody instrument, and it's a great instrument for playing chords. The wonderful thing is I can apply a chord shape to the neck of the guitar, and then I know each of the strings is the right note for the chord that I want. Here's an E. There's 1,001 ways you can approach the strings. And then in no time you'll be stringing chord shapes together. So if you already have music ready to pour out of you, chord-based instruments are a great fit. There are a few things that might get in your way of learning the guitar. One of them is pain. It's not completely natural for us to use our fingers to press wire down against a piece of wood, and it hurts. At first it hurts a lot. But we are adaptable creatures, and our fingers do develop little pads on the bottom called calluses, and this makes the strings hurt a lot less against your fingers. Also, it does take a bit of time to memorize these chord shapes. Moving your fingers from one to the other is going to take some time at first. But with all instruments, your muscles are not going to do what you want them to do the first time you try it. It takes repetition. But don't get discouraged. You don't need to learn all the chord shapes right away. Just a few will unlock plenty of songs. The thing that is most likely to stop you from playing your guitar is tuning. When you strum across the strings, you want it to sound something like this. But it's much more likely that when you first strum the strings of the guitar, it's going to sound more like this. And you're going to have to use the tuning pegs to change the tension of the strings so that they're playing the right note. That seems a bit hard. And I'm not going to lie, it takes practice. Being able to tell when the guitar is out of tune and how to fix it is a very important part of learning the guitar, and it's a very hard step for many to master. But that's okay, because we have technology to help. This is the tuner that I have on my handheld device. I've had it for several years. I think it's called Total Energy Tuner, and it costs me a few bucks. There are lots of free tuners on all the app stores and websites that you can tune. I like this one because it has some bells and whistles. Any tuner you get should be able to listen to the note through the microphone and tell you if the note is sharp or flat. Typically it's some kind of meter, and if it's flat, it'll go into a minus zone. If it's sharp, it'll go into a plus zone. What you want to get used to doing is playing the string, loosening it, and then approaching your note. Basically, you don't want to twist the tuning pegs when you can't hear the string. Now, the first few times you try this, you are going to be staring at that little meter, getting it to go back and forth. Just make sure you are also listening to the note, because it's the tuner up here and up here that you really want to work on. Typically, the strings of the guitar are tuned E, A, D, G, E, E. It's tuned this way because it works very well for the chord shapes that we discussed before. But we can pick other notes to make these strings that will make it easier for the beginner that doesn't know all the chord shapes, like Eddie. So this lowest pitch string, I'm going to set my tuner to play a D. And I'm going to loosen the string quite a bit. Now this string is tuned to D. The next string is A, and we're going to keep it as A. The next string is D, and we're going to keep it as D. This string we're going to tune down a half step, so we're going to loosen it to an F sharp. This string that's typically a B, we're going to loosen down to an A. Typically an E, we're going to tune down to a D. This first task is going to take some time, but once you get it, you have a beautiful D major chord on the open strings. It allows you to explore strumming without having to learn all the chord shapes. Now, as beautiful as this chord is, you will grow tired of hearing D. But at this point, you're going to want to start exploring these frets. Some of the frets are marked with a dot, and this is to help you count up the neck. This guitar has a dot at the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, 7th fret, the 9th fret, and it has a double dot at the 12th fret. The double dot is the most important. It is the halfway point of the string, giving us the octave. The next two most important frets are the 5th fret and the 7th fret. It's a bit unfortunate that it works out this way, but the 5th fret gives you the perfect 4th compared to the open one. And the 7th fret gives you the perfect 5th up. Many songs are built around the chords 1, 4, 5. It's also fun to strum openly and start exploring, just placing your fingers on one of the strings. Now this still has the possibility of getting boring, which is why we brought our capo along. Place this on one of the frets, and it changes the entire key. And I can count up 5 frets from there, 7 frets from there. The other thing I really like about this tuner is it has a metronome that can sound like a drum machine, which is a bit more fun to play along with. And it's important to get used to making these movements in time. Faster, faster, faster. The other thing you can do is get something small and round like a bottle or a battery or a marker or something and play some slide guitar. So, Eddie, you should pick the guitar and start with an open tuning to play around. Or maybe you should try the piano. We'll see if I can convince you that that's a better choice next week. Until then, happy exploring. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and/or subscribe. Also, the National Music Center is a charity that relies on donations, so if you have the means in Gilligan, please go to studiobell.ca/donate.